Hey there, it's Bryan over here at Gallantly Streaming, the bozo guy. But actually, notice I've gotten a haircut, so I don't have the bozo look anymore. But hey, some simple racquetball lessons from life. Actually, I think that's the reverse. Some simple life lessons from racquetball. Glad you tuned in here today. I've got something to share with you that is going to connect with each and every person watching this, because this is what we all do. And I was reminded by this as I was talking to a friend who recently shared how we so often live behind these masks. And I thought, what does that have to do with racquetball? And then I remembered. Do you realize every time I get ready to go into that court, going to do battle, mortal battle, not mortal, but have fun and all that stuff, I choose to do one thing. I choose to take off these fantastic looking glasses that make a wonderful fashion statement, and I put on some protective lenses that immediately turn me into Mr. You supply the word. I will try not to be defamatory to any particular person who likes glasses like this. But hey, these are designed so that when the ball is coming at a high speed towards my face, boom, they're protective lenses so I don't get hurt. That's important. But the reality is sometimes we're living behind much more than just some glasses that look a little bit weird. Some of us live behind these huge shields, these huge masks where we cover ourselves up. We act like one thing before one group of people and another thing with others, and yet we don't allow our real self to come out. We end up living like plastic people with masks. My wife and I really noticed that when we were trying to function after our kids died in 1994. We found so many challenging times, and we just see that people live behind these masks. Now, not because of a fast ball flying towards you, and there's a purpose and there's a reason for this, but sometimes we get locked into these masks because of shame. Shame of things that have happened, shame of what people might say about us, and we end up living in this masked wall that cuts us off from people. My wife and I have both been richly blessed by the writings of Brene Brown. This is just one of the books. I thought it was just me. And in this book, she talks about some amazing things about shame and how shame destroys culture and community and how we hide behind things. She even has a shorter version of the book on Audible. I'll put the link to it in the comments below. If you can handle a little bit of her real language, she talks about amazing heart things and how we have these shields that we put up, these huge shields to keep people from hurting us again. But that also means we can't experience love and connection and relationship because we're living behind these masks. And so the reality is when I go play racquetball, I put this on because there's a reason to protect my eyes. But what would happen if I wore these around all the time? People would say, who is this guy? It's much better for us to be able, in a safe environment, to know who we are and to take these protective things off and do what Brene Brown says. I love the way she says it. She says we need to learn not to shrink down or to puff up and act like you're something you're not, but to stand your holy ground as a child of God. She doesn't say it quite that way in her arena, but that's what she means. That we learn to stand who we are and to stand appropriately with our own skills and our abilities, and to be able to be appropriately vulnerable and also to have appropriate boundaries like we talked about in a previous program. That's important. Not to think that everyone's there to attack us. So I want to invite you today to try being yourself and not having to live behind the walls of shame. Because one of the amazing verses and the principles from Scripture is Romans 8:1. There is therefore now no more condemnation. If you've chosen to surrender your life to Christ, if you've chosen to say, okay, God, I want to live following the teachings of the Messiah, I want to accept this gift, the gift of righteousness, the gift of peace, the gift of hope. If you want to be the child of God that you're called to be because of what God has done through the Messiah, then you don't need to live in shame anymore. You don't need to be locked by fear. You can enter and be who you are without a mask and not puff up or to shrink down, but to stand and to be who you are. And then you can reserve the special things like glasses when you actually need them because you're going to have a battle in the racquetball court. Then you put them on. But when you come home and you're done with that, you can be who you are. And you can love and you can be loved and you can be part of community without shame. So, just a little nugget here from racquetball and life. Have a fantastic day today being who you are. Stream the way God has called you to stream. Family, faith, focus, and fun. Blessings. Bye-bye.